selected leaking the O'Higgins report was finally published. And the media management of this report is entirely unacceptable. And if I may say so, so are your answers here today. Justice O'Higgins found that the internal Garda investigations of complaints in the Kevin Monaghan division were deficient. He doesn't say who is to be held responsible for such malpractice. He does say there was a corporate closing of Garda ranks, which led to the allegations made by Sergeant Maurice McCabe being ignored. Now, you know that the crimes involved were of a very serious kind. They include false imprisonment, assault, murder and sexual assault. And it's the victim of these crimes, as you have acknowledged, who have been let down most. And now this report is mired in controversy because it's emerged that two senior Garda officers apparently claimed that Sergeant McCabe admitted to them that he was motivated by malice. And this claim was also apparently made by a senior counsel acting for the Garda Commissioner. But it then appears, when it emerged that Sergeant McCabe held a recording of the meeting, and his record of this disproved the allegation that he acted maliciously, that claim was not proceeded with. And this episode is not mentioned anywhere in the O'Higgins report. So the question for you, Taoiseach, is straightforward. And you can answer it without even divulging, although I think you're quite entitled to divulge the information on these issues. Have you spoken to the Garda Commissioner on these issues? Have you asked the Garda Commissioner if she instructed her legal team that Sergeant McCabe admitted he acted with malice? Have you asked if two officers did claim that Sergeant McCabe admitted this to them? And have you, as the Minister, asked for an explanation for this? And will you give that explanation to the Dáil?
Thank you very much, Deputy Adams. Taoiseach. Deputy Adams.
Taoiseach, I asked you a very direct series of questions. You didn't answer them. Now, we're supposed to be in a new political dispensation. The questions were very straightforward. Have you talked to the Commissioner about the allegations that were made that she instructed her legal team that Maurice McCabe had acted maliciously? I asked you that question. I'm going to ask you it again. I also asked you, had two officers made this same allegation? Now, you haven't answered those questions at all. I want to remind you, Taoiseach, and I happen to think that you're a good minister, of what happened to Alan Shatter. He was appointed as Justice Minister, and you were appointed following his resignation. He was embroiled in a whole series of scandals when the two Garda whistleblowers, John Wilson and Maurice McCabe, raised concerns regarding practices within the upper echelons of An Garda Síochána. It's now a matter of fact that they were smeared and that they were bullied, and so were Chokti and Shaw. People here who raised these issues were also smeared. And measured rational propositions from Sinn Féin and others were ridiculed by the government, including An Taoiseach. And then one day, the Attorney-General told the Taoiseach that about the taping of telephone calls in and out of Garda stations, and there was no way of the Taoiseach fobbing this issue off any longer. After telling us for months that there was nothing to see, move on, he then acted in an entirely unorthodox and unacceptable way. And I said that, Ceann Comhairle, at the time. I will, Ceann Comhairle. So the Taoiseach, in my opinion, and I said this at the time, was solely responsible for the events that followed and for the unprecedented series of resignations. And of course, let's remember again, the most important people here are the victims of crimes that weren't properly investigated.
Thank you, Deputy
So, Taoiseach, I put my questions to you again. And I also ask you, will you ask the Taoiseach to come in here to make a full and comprehensive statement on the serious matters he needs to address? Are you going to wait until he sends the Secretary-General of your department to go and talk to the Garda Commissioner?
All right, thank you, Deputy Adams. Taoiseach.